This is a reading of and an analysis of the first draft of a student's formal description of the painting called The Two Fridas by Frida Kahlo. And the student writes, title, The Two Fridas, size, 5'7" by 5'7", medium, oil on canvas, artist, Frida Kahlo, date, 1939. This painting is a portrait painting with a mirror image of the same person, which is Frida Kahlo. There are some vibrant colors that draw your attention to the painting. The two Fridas are sitting on a bench together holding hands. This shows her different personalities. Their faces are very serious and stern. The two Fridas are attached by an artery which shows their connection. The end of one artery wraps around one of the Fridas and leaks blood onto her white dress. The other artery is attached to a picture of her husband as a child. The background resembles a stormy sky. The hearts of the two Fridas are exposed. The two Fridas are dressed in different attire. One has on a white dress and the other one has on a blue and yellow shirt with a brownish greenish skirt with a lace white trim. The portrait has a horizontal orientation. Okay, I'm going to work backwards before we turn the picture on. This portrait has a horizontal orientation. Well, in the size, you said that the side to side, which is a horizontal measurement, is the same as the up down, the vertical measurement. So it's neither horizontal nor vertical. It's a little tricky. It's a perfect square in this case. All right, let's turn this on. Okay. What would have been nice to know is, you mentioned how they're dressed, but you never mentioned which side is on which. Somebody could have easily pictured. Now, let's see. Let's see if we can flip this. Someone could have easily pictured exactly the opposite. And all it takes is you, in the description, saying that the figure in the white dress is on the left and the figure in the blue blouse and skirt is on the right. So very simple descriptive thing, but very powerful way to give a big picture, no pun intended, visual of how the painting is arranged. Now, talking about a stormy sky is sort of treading the waters between a description and an analysis. Okay, stormy sky brings to mind a kind of a rough idea that there's going to be a high contrast sky with a lot of kind of darkness in it and some turbulence. But how the artist executes that is the formal treatment. Okay, using forms, using shape and color and texture to define that stormy sky, and each artist is going to do it differently. So that's the point of the exercise of a formal description. You're going to describe white cloud shapes interspersed with dark, probably cloud, or sky shapes. And then assign a secondary quality to them. In this case, they are created with thick angled brush strokes that are obvious and not a lot of subtle modeling to those brush strokes. So the brush strokes are evident, and as a result, the edges of the clouds are hard and rough. And there's a high contrast, meaning there is a fast transition from light area to dark area. That's the clouds, they're kind of secondary. There is a horizon line. Okay. So if you describe where the horizon line is in a painting, it gives you an idea of where the viewer is. If the viewer was down low, the horizon line seems to lift up. If the viewer is up high or seemingly standing, the horizon line drops down. So seems trivial, but just in one sentence, noting where the horizon line is, you get a visual sense of the point of view of the viewer. Did you describe the bench? I can't remember. Okay. In describing the bench, it's a plain rectilinear bench, but it has this texture from the caning, which is the artist created using some kind of yellow, a Naples yellow and black. Okay, and that's a green bench, and this is a round post. Let's get on to the Fridas. The Fridas are seated, and we'd see in one pose on the left, seems as though one knee is here and the other is here, and on this figure on the right, she has one knee here and one here. So the gesture of the body on the right is facing us. Gesture of the body on the left is facing a little bit to the right. And you can make a distinction with the hearts that they are somewhat realistic looking hearts. You know, there's a little bit of medical accuracy to how the heart's rendered. The heart's not just a simplified heart shape like in a card. Okay, make a distinction between this kind of heart that I'm drawing now and what's going on here. You know, get some details, color, texture, etc. And also that the heart it seems to be on the outside. It's not like your chest seems opened up, especially on this figure on the right. On the figure on the left, it's like it's coming out of the chest a little bit, but it's like it's pushing through almost like a scab, and you can see into the heart. And describe the path of the vein, which you did a little bit, but you do a little better. And the path of the other vein, what the vein is being held with, and which hand, and that the blood is dripping down, and how is that blood rendered. Okay. Kind of winding way back to the beginning. This is a square, right? And you have one figure seated on the left, and that figure has described the figure, the dress, etc. And the other figure is on the right side, describe the dress, etc. And what's really important is how tall the figures are relative to the entire height of the work of art. So these figures are occupying a certain amount of space. And to drive that point home, if I were to just fill in the space that each figure occupies, you'll see how big they are compared to each other. That's important. And how large they are compared to the entire canvas. Like the canvas could have been cropped. Let's see, let me do this. You could easily have portraits like this. And they take up even more space, but you can see less of each figure. So the relative size of each figure to each other and other parts is important, and the size of each of the main objects when compared with the overall composition is important. Be a nice detail to note how they're holding hands. Whose hand's on top, facing which direction. And whose hand's on bottom, facing what direction. May be important, may not be later. Okay. Notice this. What is this? Okay. She's either holding hands or holding something in her other hand. Okay. So do a little more and describe what you see. Not worried about meaning yet. That comes later. Just what you see. You're creating a mental picture without meaning. Just mental picture for someone.